This is James Lupton, delighted to be joined with Cody Momarks, Big Mo with a big moustache. How you doing, mate?
Big moustache, indeed. I'm good. Happy to be back on my home away from home in the United Kingdom.
Absolutely, back here in Liverpool. Big fight week, fight night Saturday. Tasha Jonas, Mikaela top of the bill. Let's start there. Tasha Jonas in her hometown. How much of an advantage is that for Tasha?
Usually I'm torn on if a home advantage does anything, right? It's still a fight. When the fighters are in there, a lot of times they hopefully can block out that noise. But Natasha is such a star here. And the fans that turn out for her every time are just so passionate about what she's doing and about what she's accomplished in the last couple years. I do think it's going to help her. Do I think it's going to negatively affect Mikaela Mayer? No. I think Mikaela's a pro. I think Mikaela's been on the big stage before. She fought Baumgardner in the co-main of the biggest women's boxing night in history when Shields and Marshall happened. So Mikaela's been on the big stage before. I'm excited to see them both main eventing. I think we're looking at a really, really good fight to kick off the year.
If Mikaela Mayer loses this fight, is this almost like a crossroads fight for Mikaela after the Baumgardner fight?
That's a good question. No. And the reason why I say no is Mikaela has really handled this change in weight well. I was talking to her team yesterday. They said this is one of the best camps she's ever had. She feels great. She doesn't have to cut all that weight. I think that she's now in a different stage in her career now. For a long time I thought that she was working for that Alicia rematch. Don't think that's going to happen for a variety of reasons. So now I feel like Mikaela Mayer's looking at these new weights of like, hey, if I can pick up one of these belts, maybe Clarissa Shields down the road. I know they were friends, but those are two top American female stars. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of, Mikaela changing weight kind of throws a wrinkle in everything. I'm excited. So no, I don't think this is a make or break for her. I think that she'll be back regardless.
Mikaela Mayer probably is not the biggest name or opponent Natasha Jonas has faced. However, it's her biggest challenge since moving up in the weights. How tough a test is this Saturday night for her?
I think it's tough because I agree she's not the biggest name. Obviously, she's fought Katie Taylor, of course. But Mikaela does bring a different demographic of fans coming from the States. She's massively popular. She does bring over that top-ranked side behind her. I think I don't necessarily think that it's going to be the size or anything like that, even though this is Mikaela's, she's new to this weight division. But Mikaela's technique is really, really top-notch, right? Especially as you go into those later rounds, that's typically when Mikaela tries to take over after that accumulation's happened. But at the same time, I can't doubt Natasha Jonas. You have to understand, I came over and 3 fights for Natasha Jonas. 4 fights, she picked up a belt in every single one, right? So I don't doubt Natasha Jonas anymore. I think that a lot of people thought or doubted her. Maybe she was at the tail end of her career, past her prime, and then she picked up all these belts, and now she's headlining an international fight with top-ranking boxer. So I don't know. If you had to ask me who I think is going to win, I wouldn't bet on this fight. I don't bet on fights anyway, but I wouldn't bet on this one because I really think it could go either way.
I want to come down the card a little bit. We'll go to the co-main event, and that is Jack Cullen versus Zach Chelli. It's a rematch. They drew first time around. A great fight. And it's really good to see the rematch come on as well, especially with the titles on the line as well.
Yeah.
How do you see this fight?
Well, they've both evolved as fighters a lot. They've both come a long way. I think, 2020 they had their first fight, right? So we're looking at, 3.5, 4 years since that happened. Chelli's picked up a domestic belt since then. Obviously, Jack is now defending his domestic belt. It's interesting. When you look at Jack, he's got that length to him. He's that really lanky fighter, and Chelli's more of that brawler that likes to get in tight, right? So I think it's going to be a stylistic clash. I know you always hear stylistic clashes, and it's kind of that buzzword, bingo word that you hear. But I don't really know, to be honest. Part of me says that Zach lost his last title fight that he was in. I think he picked up a win in between, a fight in between. So I think he's looking to regain that belt. I think he's excited to regain those, multiple belts. But at the same time, when you look at people like Jack Cullen, and he's going to have a great support staff there, he may have sold every ticket that's in Little Lever. So I think he's gassed to be in a chief support, to be defending these belts. I memean, I hate to make predictions. I really do. But man, especially because they drew the first time. I'm not sure. I like that's, and again, that's the same kind of matchup as the main event. You could flip a coin, and I really don't know who's going to win. So I'm just excited to see them both go in there and compete.
Another fight on the card that is tough to call, a real 50-50, is the wild card fight of the night. Linus Udofia coming up to Liverpool to face Aaron McKenna, the undefeated fighter from Ireland. And for me, it's probably Aaron McKenna's biggest challenge so far in his career. Lance has been on a bigger stage. Although he took some losses, he's no longer got that pressure of staying undefeated either. So I feel like you lose a bit of pressure, like I say there. With this fight, again, we mentioned about styles. How do you see this one going stylistically?
McKenna brings a lot of knockout power, right? The McKenna brothers are avoided by a lot of people. No one really wants to fight the McKenna brothers because they are relentless in their style. They throw huge bombs. They love working the body on the inside. I think that's what's going to win this fight for McKenna if I had to be a betting person. I do think McKenna comes away with the win just off of the pure accumulation of the power shots that he's going to throw. But at the same time, Linus is no slouch either. I agree. This is McKenna's toughest test to date. There's a reason why it's the Bet365 wild card fight. So it makes a lot of sense. But undefeated McKenna, I've seen how dominant he's been so far. He's defending that WBC international belt. I don't see him losing again. But at the same time, if Linus pulls out the upset, I wouldn't be surprised either. I feel like I'm not giving you any good takes here because, I would love to give you, this is my hot take, I think this guy's going to win or this girl's going to win. I really don't know with some of these fights, man. I'm going to be honest. Top-ranked boxing, they put together a hell of a card for Saturday.
Absolutely. It certainly speaks volumes for the type of fights we are going to get to see on Saturday night. Further forward than Saturday night, I want to talk a little bit about Dan Aziz and Josh Buatsi. Major fight coming up in London very, very soon. Again, another great clash, and we mentioned about these hard-to-pick fights. Again, another pick and fight, and just to show how good the matchmaking is here at Boxer and Sky Sports, and mentioned obviously Top Rank involved today. For you, how good is it to see these fights in boxing?
It's critical. It's critical. Boxing is fickle, and boxing fans are very picky. It's very much a what have you done for me recently. You can have one great fight, and after that fight's over, boxing fans are immediately on to what's next. And if you don't produce, they're going to get upset. They may follow a different promoter. They may go to a different broadcaster. There's really low switch costs going on. So it's important that these fights get made because boxing fans, they have to stay entertained. And there's so many promoters now. There's so many broadcasters now, which I do believe is a good thing for the most part. But the trade-off is that you need to produce. You can't get away with just in my opinion, we're getting away from the days that we've seen over the past couple decades where you just slap together a card, have a big main event, the rest of the card is kind of throwaway. We're getting past that now, which is a good thing, and I think we're seeing different factors come into the market that are forcing that behavior of matchmakers and promoters. So a fight like Buatsi Aziz, those fights just have to happen. Belt, no belt, it doesn't matter. You have to get number one contenders. You have to see people in rankings. I mean, just look at Buatsi Aziz. That fight, regardless of what happens, look at the different fights that could lead to, right? You have people like Anthony Yarde, you have people like Callum Smith, you potentially have Beterbiev versus Bivol for the unification, right? Or for undisputed, pardon me. So regardless of who wins or loses, whether it's Dan or whether it's Buatsi, both of them very easily could go into possibly bigger fights after the fact. You look at possibly the winner facing Anthony Yarde, you look at the loser not going far in the rankings because it's number one versus number two. So I love positions like that because win or lose, you have great matchups that still will be a byproduct of that fight.
And just finally, Cody, a potential fight in the making. It's been started on social media recently. Yeah. Caroline Dubois and Alicia Baumgardner have had a little back and forth on socials. Is that a fight you'd like to see?
Yes, absolutely. I want to see Alicia Baumgardner back in the ring. I know she's been dealing with her out of the ring stuff with her drug tests, etc. However that shakes out, I want to see her back in the ring. I think that she is a dynamite personality and an excellent fighter. Like I said, I want to see the Baumgardner-Mayer rematch for a long time. I don't think that's going to happen. So now it's about who can Baumgardner go face that's talent that's really going to challenge her. In my opinion, Caroline Dubois is the fastest rising star in women's boxing. I think that she is fantastic. Like, Caroline she's dominating people. It's to the point now to where Caroline does have to face world champions because there's not really much for her at this level. She's kind of in that in-between stage where she can't go down, she has to go up because she can't really stay at the same level. So to me, that fight, oddly enough, you saying that's the first time I've heard of it because you said it's on social media this morning. I haven't really been on social media this morning. I've been getting ready, so that's, See, now that you're talking, I like that fight a lot. Baumgardner versus Dubois. Interesting. Okay. I like that one. We'll see if it shakes out.
Absolutely. Hopefully we'll see that one day down the line. But Cody, before then, Saturday night, enjoy it. We'll see you on the TV in the middle of the ring.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys follow my guy Slothbox, one of the hardest working people in the industry, one of the first people that kind of became one of my friends on the road. So make sure you follow Slothbox. Make sure you follow myself. And I will see you guys on ESPN and Sky Sports on Saturday.